Proud day for this country. How could it be a proud day when a man who was not elected by the people becomes president of the United States? How does that happen?
In a political moment that some are calling the televised equivalent of a demolition derby, documentary filmmaker and longtime provocateur Michael Moore did what few have managed to do so effectively: dismantle Donald Trump's persona, brick by gold-plated brick, in front of a live national audience. It wasn't just a takedown. It was a spectacle, a masterclass in reality-based political dissection. And for millions watching, it felt like long-awaited catharsis. It began with a question: how can it be a proud day for this country when a man who lost the popular vote, who clawed his way to power through loopholes and lies, becomes the President of the United States? For Moore, that question wasn't rhetorical, it was a catalyst. What followed wasn't standard political commentary. It was a firestorm. Donald Trump, the self-anointed genius, real estate mogul, and alleged billionaire with a reputation as thick as his hairspray, found himself on the receiving end of Moore's no-holds-barred truth bomb. The man who's built an empire on bluster and branding, Trump Steaks, Trump University, Trump Wine, and now Trump NFTs, was laid bare not with insults, but with facts. The emperor, Moore declared, has no clothes.
They really believe that the average normal American wants to hear that. They actually believe that we don't like immigrants. We are immigrants. We are all the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
And we're not going to pretend anymore. It was an unrelenting verbal autopsy of a political figure who has turned his grievances into a career and victimhood into a brand. Moore didn't just poke at Trump's fragile ego. He bulldozed it, laughing as the walls crumbled. No one was spared. Not Trump's bankrupt casinos, failing in a business where the house always wins. Not his failed steak venture, like failing to sell sand in the Sahara, and certainly not his obsession with being taken seriously. For decades, Trump has thrived in a media ecosystem where celebrity and credibility often blur. But Moore brought clarity. Under the glaring lights of live television, the president's carefully constructed mythology began to unravel. This isn't populism, Moore said. It's performance art, and not very good performance at that. Every self-aggrandizing claim, every delusional tweet, every phony product hawked to his
more
loyal followers
subpoenas
was
than
laid
economic
out like
accomplishments
evidence in a courtroom. And the verdict was damning. As Trump's most recent legal troubles continue to stack higher than unpaid bills at a bankrupt casino, Moore pointed to what many have felt but few have articulated so plainly. Trump's greatest fear isn't prison, poverty, or even irrelevance. It's ridicule. He can endure court dates, indictments, and political defeats. But laughter? That's unbearable. What Moore managed to do, perhaps more skillfully than any opponent before, was reveal Trump as a mirror, reflecting back not just his own grotesqueries, but those of the system that enabled him. He's not an anomaly, Moore stated. He's the inevitable product.
I don't think they really are in touch with where the majority of Americans are at. The majority of Americans do not want this divisiveness. They don't want a threat of violence.
That worships money, fame, and hollow spectacle. And perhaps that's the bitterest pill to swallow. Trump didn't rise in spite of the system. He is the system. A system that forgot its workers while celebrating its con men. A system where lies pay better than truth and where failure, when branded well, becomes success. The Trump camp predictably scrambled.
I think that Donald Trump is a big believer in capitalism and free enterprise and the sort of thing that's
was to paint Moore as irrelevant, a washed-up filmmaker with a grudge. Another was to play the victim, as Trump always does, tweeting furiously in the early hours of the morning. Witch hunt, he would likely declare. Fake news. Michael who? But the damage was done. For once, the spin wasn't working. Moore hadn't just criticized Trump, he had exposed the machinery of manipulation, the scam behind the man. In the days following the broadcast, Moore's dismantling went viral, not just as a political moment, but as a cultural reckoning. Commentators called it the roast Trump couldn't handle, a truth grenade lobbed into Mar-a-Lago, and the final breath of the myth of Trump the strongman.